Practices are where your team is made. It's the most important time that you have with your group. And it's no coincidence that championship team have championship level practices. So how do you get your team to that point? In this video, you'll hear 5 tips for elite practices from championship coaches. Each tip is designed to help you run more efficient and effective practices. If you implement these ideas with your team, you'll see your team get more out of every practice, which means they'll be prepared to play to their potential come game time. Before we get to the video, we wanted to let you know that you can get instant access to a free printable PDF of 7 drills for championship practices. Just click the link in the description. Now let's get to the video.
Two of the things that I really think that you want to instill in your practices are number one, you want to come with and bring great intensity. The other thing that you want to make sure that you have when you're going to structure your practices is make sure they're organized. One of the things that I think you really want to start off with, especially in practice, especially at the high school or junior high level, is you got to think about these kids have been sitting around all day. Oftentimes they've been going to class and doing different things, and they may not be in the mode of basketball yet. So the first thing that we really like to do is get them moving, get them thinking a little bit, and get the ball in their hands to create some energy and a good feel for the start of practice. Another thing we really like to do with our practices is get our guys competing right off the bat. So the more that you can structure in competitive drills, whether it be one-on-one, two-on-two, or from a team competitive aspect, the better off you're going to be when you start to structure your practices. Defense and rebounding are at the core of any great program. So in order to instill that in, I think that's something that you need to emphasize daily. So we tend to put that in the beginning of our practices and make sure that we're working on those at all times, especially early on in the season.
All right, let's talk about this. All right, I'm not sure about this old picture, but it's been a long time ago. All right, I've been coaching for over 30 years, 33 years to be exact. And I've learned a lot in coaching. And number one, these are the key practice principles that you have to abide by if you're gonna run a great competitive practice. All right, let's take a look. All right, why is the practice so central to championship success? All right, number one, you gotta have a philosophy. So in my previous videos and so forth, I've talked a lot about our coaching philosophy. So your philosophy has to connect with what you're doing in practice. We're a run and stun team and so forth. So our style of practice, your philosophy, how you play the game must be simulated in practice. That is number one. So let's talk about that. So on your philosophy and in practice, your philosophy has to be done in practice to carry over to game night. So what you do in practice has to simulate your philosophy, and it'll happen in game night. So you absolutely have to understand what your philosophy is. You have to get the correct drills. You have to get the correct philosophy connected to apply that to game night. 'Cause a lot of coaches go, hey, you know, on game night, we didn't execute. Well, you got to look back at your practices. It's not your player's fault. It's you're responsible for that. So if my team, I'll give you a little bit of example. If my team is struggling in practice, they're not motivated or whatever, well, you got to get them motivated. You can't say, hey, you know, you're going to leave practice today, we're going to kick you all out. No, you got to get motivated. You got to set the good example and get in your philosophy, your practice solid, so on game night, man, you're ready to rock and roll.
I've really evolved as a coach over the years of how to handle when practices aren't going well. I used to just resort to being angry and mad. And I'm not saying that doesn't still happen, but there's a couple different things that we've done that have really helped us. A lot of times we'll just reset. We start, so after we stretch every day, we get to the center circle and we talk. We have a thought of the day. We share kind of some thoughts about how practice is going to go and what the expectations are. And we break out of that circle and we're ready to roll. So when we reset, sometimes if we're 15, 20, maybe even 30 minutes into practice, and it's just not going well, I'll just blow the whistle. We'll go back to the center circle. We'll remind them of what our goals are for the day. And a lot of times I'll challenge the guys. I'll say, are you doing what you should be doing or how you should be doing it? Give them a chance to talk to each other a little bit. Ask them if they're ready to go. They're always going to say yes, but most of the time they are. And typically that helps. It's not always perfect. And sometimes, you just got to remind them of what they need to do by putting them on the end line and running a couple line touches. I'm not a big conditioning guy. I like to get my conditioning through drills, but there's still a little bit of old school in there, for me at least, where sometimes they just need to be reminded that way. But I think there's a lot of different ways you can do it. But usually, especially if you have a veteran, mature team, just by reminding them of what the work that needs to be done is and challenging them to be better than they currently are, that usually does the trick.
So implementing core values, I think, is very important to reinforce not only your players, your parents, everybody in your program. These are your expectations. This is what it's going to be about. And you got to make sure they understand the importance of it and you reinforce it throughout the year. So, for example, it could be something for me, what I do, reinforce to my teams, is one is positive energy, no negative attitude. We're going to be positive about everything we do. The second thing I'll talk to them about is I want great effort. I want us to give great effort in everything we do. Be the best version of yourself, right? We're not going to take a play off, we're not going to take a rep off. And the third thing we'll talk about is everything we do matters. Be meticulous in everything we do. The fourth thing I'll talk to them about is we're going to take responsibility for what we do, right? Too many people play the blame game. And the fifth thing I'll talk to them about is we're going to play selfless type basketball, right? We're going to care for each other. We're going to make the opportunity better for everybody. We're going to sacrifice for one another. So I'll reinforce that in practice throughout the games, that they understand that this is our identity, of what we're about. You can make it simple by saying, make it an acronym, like TEAM. And it could be like T stands for tenacity. We're going to be, showing grit and be tenacity throughout the season. And E be for enthusiastic. Maybe A be for attitude. N, we're going to be mentally tough, whatever it might be. You can make an acronym, you can build upon that. You could also, I'll tell high school coaches, other individuals, this is something I'd recommend do, even with young kids. Tell them, hey, let's pick out some character traits. What do we want our team, our program to be about? And have them pick it out. And so now you can implement those into your team, and now you're having the kids that are introducing it so they take more ownership of it, right? They take pride in developing it, and it really reinforces the culture that you want to be consistent in your team, your program throughout the season, throughout many years you might be with them. I think some of you need to understand when developing core values is you can't have 12, 15, 20 of these things, like a sheet of 50 character traits that we're going to emphasize as part of our culture, because kids aren't going to get that. Right? Usually learning about the max is almost 3s at times. Now I gave you 4 or 5 before, but so it might be as simple as just saying, hey, we're going to have a great attitude, we're going to give a great effort, we're going to have fun. As they get older, you might be able to expand and have more, but make it simple as you start this. And each year you might build upon, add one more, whatever it might be after they get to 3 down. I think it's also important to do this before the season starts. And that way you're communicating with the players and the parents in the program to understand what it is about. You might put that acronym or something on the back of your shooting shirt or whatever. That reinforces it, reminds them to what they're doing. You can't not have this maybe at the beginning of the season, and also the middle of the season, your kids aren't working hard, giving good effort, and you're upset because they haven't done it. Because if you haven't taught it, they're probably not going to do it. If you haven't emphasized it, they're not going to do it. So making sure start at the beginning with this and then build it out throughout the season and reinforce the importance of it, and kids and parents will buy into it.
The drills you'll be seeing today with building high IQ players, we've really felt that over time, a lot of guys love to get in the gym. They love to say that they're grinding. They love to spend hours working on things, but we don't always see the translation to gameplay. When we have our guys training with us in the off season and with players that I work with, we try to get them to understand that everything you do in the gym should have a purpose. You shouldn't come out and do something a million times through if it's not going to translate and you don't understand conceptually how you can use this in your game. Building tools and putting tools in your tool belt is a great way to evolve as a player, and that's what we're going to try to do with our drills and building high IQ players. I think one of the big benefits of building high IQ players and the drills you're going to see today is that obviously there's a physical layer to this training, but there's a mental layer to it as well. We're trying to take drills that either we've created or traditional drills that we've used in the past, and we're trying to add components to it that challenges our players to not only understand what the drill is, but why this drill is being used and how it translates to what we want to see them doing on the court. Oftentimes, I know for myself as a young coach, I'd go to clinics, I'd go to camps, I'd steal a million drills, I'd steal a million workouts, and I put my players through these things because I wanted them to know that I knew what I was talking about. But at the end of the day, the concepts weren't translating. The players didn't understand the why. They understood the what. And I think with building high IQ players, we're trying to get our players to function physically at a high level, but also mentally at a high level. And they're understanding, here's why we're doing this, here's how it translates. Another big benefit for us with building high IQ players is, again, we're constantly sharpening the blade. There may be days, especially in the dog days of the season, we walk into mid-January in Chicago and there's a snowstorm. Players probably can't get up every day physically for practices like that. But what we found is that if we're adding layers and components to some of our skill work and we're continually challenging them, not only physically but mentally, we keep it fresh, we keep them engaged, and we, again, continue to what we call sharpen the blade and keep them constantly working at their craft, and it keeps them excited about working at their craft.
We hope you enjoyed this practice planning video. If you want instant access to 7 drills for championship practices, make sure to click the link in the description so you can gain access to a free PDF. Again, if you use the ideas in this video and the drills in the PDF, you will put your team's improvement on fast forward. Make sure to click and subscribe and then click the bell button so you're the first to know when we release more new videos. Thanks for watching.